This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
We're back to the continuation of the story from minutes ago.
If you missed any,
Catch it on the Morning X podcast. This is the best of the Morning X with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. 99X.
The Morning X, Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. Many have died there. This man has not. He's back to tell about it. Matt Dickinson's got a new book out, The Other Side of Everest. Is there ever a moment that you thought you went too far and that you felt like you were in trouble?
Mm-hmm. When we started stepping over the dead bodies of people who died in the days earlier, that was when I began to question my own sanity because, I wasn't a climber, I was a novice, and then you're stepping over these dead bodies and suddenly it hits you. It becomes almost normal. And then once or twice, I can remember on the expedition just looking at the expression of this climber, frozen, mummified in the ice, he'll be there forever. And thinking that could be me. And that was a frightening moment.
They're dead in their tracks?
They are dead there. They're just lying on the side of the trail, and they can never be retrieved or brought down. It's too high.
Did you experience any altitude sickness or anything?
Yeah, I had frostbite. In my book, I describe the pleasures of frostbite, but very, very minor compared to many people who actually lost fingers and toes and had serious damage.
In the movie, there was the one guy, well, two in particular. One guy who lost his hands after the trip, right? And then one who, oddly enough, turned up on some bizarre Fox medical oddity show not long ago, whose nose, I guess he lost his nose to frostbite. They somehow restructured another nose and grew it on his forehead.
That is correct. Can you imagine how dreadful that is? And that is a high price to pay for that summit.
On the one hand, you must be terrified, but you have to overcome that terror, yet still harbor some of it, because it's the only way you'll respect the mountain.
You're adrenaline driven, but yet
you can't be too afraid, or you'll be right. You can't be too afraid.
You can't be too afraid, but the real secret of Everest is that, and with any mountain, in fact, is that when you stand on the summit of that mountain, you are only halfway there. And so many people, dozens of people, reach the summit of Everest, and they've given everything to reach the top. The tanks are empty, the batteries are dry. They have nothing left to give. And they wander 50 meters away from the summit, and they lie down in the snow, and that is it. They are completely shattered.
What's up there at the top?
It's, what's up there is the most exciting view in the world of the whole of the Himalayas stretched in front of you. A little summit triangle put there by the Chinese. And, people put things at the top.
That's what I've always wondered. What's up there?
I put something personal up there. People put photos and little trinkets and gold medallions and flags. And if you excavated the summit of Everest, you'd come away with a haul of treasure.
How can you enjoy it, though, at the very top of when you've just spent your last, your breath and your will? And it's like you get up there and you're just like...
I would think that once you reach that summit, it's like everything else, all the other problems go, it fades away.
Yeah,
right.
And you get this great big burst of adrenaline, this great burst of euphoria, but that in its own right is dangerous, because then that's another thing which is, causing you to slump. Because after you've had that euphoria, you think about the 3 or 5 days you've got to climb back down again. That's dangerous.
Is it like a peak, or is it like a big, like a plateau?
Flat plateau.
Yeah,
no, it's low. This is like a real peak. It's like the top of a pyramid. It's no bigger than the table we're sitting around here. 4 or 5 people clustered on the top is the most you can get on the summit of Everest.
And it is the highest place on Earth.
That is the highest place on the planet, and it will always be. And people will always want to climb Mount Everest, even when 100,000 people have climbed it.
Let's take some calls. Other people waiting to talk to you. Jennifer?
I guess I could ask you 1,000 questions, but my biggest question is, what were your mental thoughts? I mean, what did your mind go through in this whole experience, and what inspired you to climb the mountain and write the book?
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer. Well, really, I think what inspired me was to make the film. I was making this film for National Geographic Television, which was very important to me. But what was going through my head as I stood on the summit of Everest, I was in tears. It was the first time I'd cried since I was a child. This was just the most sublime moment of my life. I was 36 years old. I'd never anticipated having a chance to climb Everest, and so I was just so grateful to be in that place, privileged to see the things I saw, and deeply scared about the prospect of having to climb back down again.
I could just imagine.
What percentage of climbers, Matt, turn around midway up and don't make it, and what percentage do make it to the top?
A relatively small percentage of people make it to the top. Probably about 15% of people, something like that.
Where do most make it? Halfway? Or?
Yeah, most people get up to about 24,000 feet, and that's where you hit the big pain barriers, and that's where most people turn back.
They weren't expecting it. They weren't prepared to...
Well, it's more complicated than that. It doesn't matter actually who you are. You can be the world's greatest athlete. You know, we had Russian guys around us who were like, you know, pumping iron every day at base camp, and they would look like Schwarzeneggers. But when they got on that mountain, they were terrible. They collapsed, and altitude is like that. I'm not a very strong guy. I'm skinny, rangy. A lot of the people that climb Everest are very, very slender.
Well, you're like marathon runners.
Yeah, exactly. It's endurance. It's endurance.
What did you weigh when you started out?
Yeah.
I weighed about 12 and a half stone when I started out. I actually lost 20 pounds.
You lost 20
pounds? The whole
pounds.
trip?
I lost 20 pounds, and I was the skinniest I've ever been.
Hey, Dave, you're on.
Yeah, my question is exactly how many pounds of gear did you have to carry physically yourself?
Right. Hi, Dave. Yeah, on the lower slopes of the mountain, you can be climbing anything with 25 pounds on your back, up to 30 pounds sometimes. But on the summit bit itself, you have to really be ruthless to cut that weight down. And you're carrying just an oxygen bottle or two, and in our case, some filming equipment and a bit of emergency gear in case you have to bivouac out. So I think we were carrying about 15 pounds each on our summit day.
How long did the entire journey take?
We're talking about 3 months, and that in its own right is psychologically. Can you imagine? You know, you're isolated from your family and friends. You're out there completely on your own, and that destroys some people. Just the duration of the trip. When we reached the top camp on Everest, it was very, very dramatic. But as we were preparing to leave for the summit, a member of an Austrian team came across, and he was in a real state. His eyes were completely red with retinal hemorrhages. He was babbling incoherently. He was, you know, and this is at 28,000 feet.
Do you just see a guy walking through the snow?
Well, yeah, no, he came to our tent, and he said, "Listen, you have to help me to save my friend. My friend is in a coma, and we have to get him down." And you know, we had to tell him, "Listen, you know, because we already knew that his friend was dying. Your friend is in a coma. He is as good as dead here." You know, even if we had 40 people with us, we could not take that guy down. And we gave him oxygen.
It sounds like a cold response, but it's the fact.
It's brutal.
It's the brutal truth.
It's the brutal truth. Yeah. On Everest, you are beyond. You might as well be on the moon.
Nobody can help you.
No one can help you.
This interview isn't over. More after a quick break. You can also find it and more on the Morning X with Barnes and Leslie podcast. You're inside the best of the Morning X.
Family Matters amplifies the loudest and the proudest political voices in the Black community today.
What's up, guys? I'm CJ Pearson. There's so many incredible perspectives here in the Black community that you're going to hear from each and every week.
Because faith matters, country matters, and family matters.
This is exactly what the mainstream media was missing by not actually going to Black churches, going to Black barbershops, talking to the people that are at the forefront of this change in the community. Let me start here.
Family Matters with CJ Pearson.
Each and every week. We'll see you here. Talk to you soon.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.